Hi, welcome to this new episode on Zindagi Ka Safar. And I have with us Dr. Jain Mukherjee. He's not only an academician, he's also an author. And I know him for a very long time. So I think we met here in Mumbai. So there's a place in Worli called Mahindra Towers. And now we know each other for the last 2 decades. And I am very, very sure that this is going to be a very, very interesting conversation which we are going to have because I have some tough questions for him. Yeah. So Jayant, we'll start with a simple one. Yeah. Uh,
Mhm.
Tell us
Coming from
about.
you, it's not going to be simple.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
though we have been recommended to take the tough questions in exam first, but we are going to be starting with a simple question. So tell
All
us
right.
about your zindagi ka safar till this point in time.
Zindagi ka safar. Okay. Uh, that's possibly the toughest question that you can ask anyone,
Yes,
actually.
true.
Yeah. So, if I were to start from, the very, beginning, I was born and brought up in Uttar Pradesh. Brought up in a very small town. At that point of time, it used to be a very small town called Bareilly.
Mhm.
So not many facilities, not many amenities. There are possibly two good schools. And I went to both.
But they couldn't handle you, so you had to move from one to the other.
So,
Okay.
and after that, as you know, for our generation, there were two options for people, either engineering or
Medical.
medical, as far as the science students go. So I chose engineering. Got selected, was told that I won't join IIT, and I had to go to IIT BHU because two of my mamajis were there. So went to BHU, had a whale of a time, did not study, and then realized at the end of it all that I'm not enjoying this engineering. But anyway, went know, for a job.
So when did you
Again,
realize that maybe engineering is not cut out? It was in what, third year, fourth year, or it was much
no,
earlier
I
than that?
realized pretty soon. Okay,
Okay, after joining.
I realized pretty soon that A, it was not for me, and B, I'm not cut out for it. But I mean, you can call it laziness on my part, or you can call it the sheer inertia that saw me through those 4 years, or maybe I was enjoying life in Banaras. I started enjoying life in Banaras, and thought might as well, do it. I mean, all this is, you know, post facto, and I'm thinking out right now, this is what must have happened. You know, at that point of time, one rode with the tide. And again, most of my batchmates went to US for either their higher degrees or, for work. Uh, I was told that you can't go
Hmm,
because if you go, then you won't come back to India.
hmm.
So, that left me the option of, you know, going in for some kind of a job. Joined, went to a public sector for a couple of years and then went to IIM Ahmedabad. The result, the reason why I went to IIM is also, very funny.
Mhm.
I'm today, it seems funny because let me recount this incident also. Just one day, going in my cycle to the plant,
Hmm.
I saw, a huge crowd gathered in one of the, Western avenues. Okay? And turned my cycle as is my own time to see what was happening. And I saw a lady, giving a fiery speech. Okay. And people were listening, rapt attention. That lady was Medha Patkar. So, I, tried to find out, okay, who's she? What does she do? So, it turned out that she's done her MBA from, TISS or whatever, right? So, that is what I found out. I said, I must do the same thing. Okay. so,
This will be the most
quite,
most interesting reason that someone has chosen to do an IM.
Yeah, I swear, man. I mean, it was you're in, it has always been kind of crazy incidents that have shaped it. I
Hmm.
mean, choose to say it otherwise.
Yeah,
To people, to students or otherwise,
yeah.
others. But these were the actual reasons. Okay, so I gave. I don't know whether I gave the exam for tests at all or not. I didn't, but I did give. You know, okay,
Maybe,
and
maybe for fellowship, you didn't require any
no,
CAT or something.
all right. I remember. No, I didn't have the money for going to test, right, or doing for any of the MBA. So the fellowship was the only option available.
Hmm.
Second thing was that I did not enjoy working in that industrial setup. There were just too many people for my liking. One day I was just, you know, mm, having my chai and, samosa in one of the canteens, one of the staff canteens. I saw that just before, the time was there for the shift to end. There used to be two shifts, I mean, three
Yeah.
shifts,
Mhm.
A, B, C, and so forth. And 10 or 15 minutes before the shift was to end, there was a huge crowd waiting to get out of the gate, and there was an equally big crowd waiting to come in.
Hmm.
I thought to myself, is this the kind of life that I want to lead? I mean, day in and day out, and over the next 10 years, 20 years, or I said, no, no, this is not for me.
Hmm.
This is not for me. So therefore, I mean, those two things combined, I gave my gap, etc. Got a call from the AMS, and promptly put in my papers before getting, this was just for clearing the written exams. Okay, and I
Written
put in
exam.
my papers
Huh.
and went off to Delhi, right? And I did not even inform my parents. Okay, so they wrote letters, then it got redirected and stuff that sort. They got frantic. They called up our relatives in Delhi, and I was there, and I had gone off to a place called Dehradun. Incidentally, that is where I live now. Okay, so, and when I came back, my relatives told me, "Okay, you go back to Bareilly and have a chat with your parents." Right? So I went back and told them that, look, I have given this exam, and mm, they've called me for an interview, and I've put in my papers.
Hmm.
Okay. So anyway, they just looked at me, thought that, this is nutty guy. Right? Anyway, so I went to, give the interview, right? And they couldn't, the interviewers couldn't figure out why I was trying to do this PhD. I couldn't figure out why, they were asking me those, inane questions. But, it kept on, the interview length kept on dragging. There was this professor who was hugely into trade unions and so on and so forth. And I faced those trade unions,
Hmm.
in my stint in the organization, real practical experience, with their being militant, with their being trying to do other stuff, which is not there in the books.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he kept asking about the advantages of unions. Well, I kept telling him, look, these are the disadvantages that a person faces. Anyway, it dragged on for hour and a half, and I went off. I thought that, look, this hasn't worked out. It's been a mistake. So, uh, incidentally, I hadn't stayed in the campus. While going for the interview, I booked the hotel, and I had possibly forgotten something out there in the campus, and I called up this setting office to say that, look, I've forgotten my mark sheets, etc., and can I come and collect them? He said, okay, we have been trying to contact you frantically. So where are you? I said, I'm there in the hotel. So why are they in the hotel? Because I didn't know that you guys will have a room or this accommodation for me. So I said, come over, I mean, as soon as possible. So I went over and said, "You have been selected." Why? So that was the first thought that came to me. Why been selected? Okay, why are the others? Hey, so I did my this thing fellow program, and again the decision to teach was possibly not taken with a great deal of thought, etc.
Hmm.
Almost everyone, at that point of time, all my seniors, etc., or most of them would go in for academic, and we had to personally do quite a bit of teaching to
Hmm.
sustain ourselves. Dr. Manmohan Singh had come in. He had, put heavy curbs on, the grants for the institute and so on and so forth. So what we were left with was a pittance with which we couldn't sustain ourselves
Hmm.
during our PhD. So we had to teach a lot, and that gave us that money. In the other institutes in Ahmedabad.
Just as a curiosity, how much used to
Hmm.
be the fellowship at that point in time?
Look, what I remember what I used to get in hand, and
Hmm.
after a while. When I went in, it was something around $500 or 550 in hand, and I think the fellowship was around 2,500. If I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
But
And
other things used to get cut for the hostels and other
yes,
things,
yes,
or
for the
food and
mess, for this, for that, or whatever.
okay.
And it used to be at approximately 500, 550 odd in hand the first year. After that, it decreasing further, and so, sorry, was something around 150, 200. One can't even buy, the soap or whatever.
You will get cheap
So,
soap, na? Nirma was next to door. You don't have to buy a Hindustan liver soap. Lux and all
yeah,
की
yeah.
क्या जरूरत है वगैरह मतलब buy a Nirma soap and all. अब अहमदाबाद में
Nirma
हो.
is another story.
I know.
Nirma is yet another story. Okay. But and to him we had to work nights, or at least some of us,
Hmm.
because there were a limited number of computers.
Hmm.
So we didn't get computer time, during the evening or during the daytime, because most of the people would come in and use it. So we used to do it from 10 till around 6, you know, then have a breakfast and go off to sleep. I'm talking of, after the second year.
Second.
And so, well, I was then the fourth year or the fifth year. Yeah. So sleeping, and then there was this knock at the door, and then the banging, and so on. So what I found that there was this guy who was standing outside, right? He said, what happened here? So he said, I'm, Pranab Ishri. I'm professor at XLRI Jamshedpur. Okay. So what can I do for you? Would you like to join XLRI? Do they pay? Do they pay me? So uh, anyway, he was magnanimous enough to treat me to a cup of tea at Rambhai, which used to cost it's supposed to be bucks or something at that point of time. And he put in a word with that esteemed chairman, and I went and gave uh, lecture or whatever else. But that was, and I joined for a period of 3 years. After that, then there was a stint with with you in Bombay, the Mahindra Towers, where you're sitting right now.
Yeah.
Okay, so and you know all about that. It's not been a typical, MBA story, or let's say a thought out process for having a career, or a thought out process for have leading a kind of life. Most of the things have happened
Hmm.
due to some spark or the other, and Looking back, some of those decisions possibly do not seem quite
Thought out, well thought
logical
out.
or rational or thought out, but those happened. And,
And worked out well in the end.
maybe worked out. Most of the decisions did not work out. It's okay. Life is that.
So when did so once this was there, when did you decide to go back to Dehradun? And what
Uh,
prompted you again to move
what
from, maybe not, why not Delhi, and why not maybe some, why not at IIM Ahmedabad, or why not at Bombay?
Look, I seriously don't know. Yeah. I mean, again, I'll tell you quite frankly, I seriously don't know. Look, I was working in Delhi, and
Hmm.
for a period of a year. Mm, those guys did not get that, second, round of funding, etc., etc. They had to, kind of close shop. I got quite a few offers. What I didn't like those offers was started doing something of my own.
Hmm.
Then one point I thought that, look, this is I'm not really liking this. You know, why should I, have to stay cooped up in, you know, in one kind of a room, and then, travel for around 40, 45 minutes, and, go to, another, a small office, and, face all this jhamela and
Hmm.
stuff that's all. Um, So I just called the driver. I had a car at that point of time. I just called the driver. Said, "Deepak, chalte hain, Dehradun." Said, "हाँ
Hmm.
भैया, let's go." So we, didn't have much, So two suitcases packed up, the art easel and the art brushes and so on and so forth packed up those and left. Landed up in Dehradun by the evening, and that was it. So that was then that freelancing continued for a period of around 14 odd years
Hmm.
before I had a stint with the government.
Hmm.
Again, that is not something that I wanted to do. Or let's say I really, uh, how shall I say, seek it out. Even that stint with the government was because there was this another colleague from IMA said that, oh, why don't you join this? Okay, and we feel that you can contribute. So okay, why not? And went to Delhi to face that interview with some of those IS officers. They thought that they'll ask me tough questions. So, incidentally, one of those, the chief secretary asked me, why Dehradun?
Hmm.
Yes,
Oh,
and I had replied, why not Dehradun?
good question. Good answer.
Yeah, and yeah, he said that, "Oh, yeah, good response. Why not Dehradun?" That's it.
Yeah. So now this is what we know about you from the that you have been in academics. So when did you think of writing books? Because you have now written two, three of them.
Mm. The books part, let's say the first one was a technical, I'm talking of the solo authorships rather than writing chapters and,
Yeah.
with in edited books, etc.
Hmm.
The first one, I thought that, look, I do need to get back to society with, what I've learned,
Hmm.
vis-a-vis HR, vis-a-vis things, and most of it is not being done properly,
Hmm.
right? That's
Hmm.
number one. Second is, most of the organizations do not have um, people who are competent enough to be able to design and implement good HR systems.
Hmm.
So can I do something that will help me reach out to them? to those organizations in particular. So, so this book stemmed from that thought process. So let's assume nothing that the organization has limited or no HR resources, and then how can they design and implement a fairly robust system.
Hmm.
So each of those modular this thing wise, and then has steps on how you can do it,
Hmm.
and what are the pitfalls, or what is that. It took a lot of time, but then result has been was good. Regarding the second book, which was about
Okay, so what was the name of
some,
the first book, just for our readers?
yeah, the first book was Designing Human Resource Management Systems, a
Okay.
leader's guide.
And
So this was
who was the publisher of that book?
the publisher was Sage.
Say, okay. And the second one, what was the
The
book?
second one was about Swami Vivekananda. So mm, I didn't know much about Swami Vivekananda. And I mean, unlike most of the Bengalis, take pride in knowing about his life history, etc., etc. Look, as I told you that I had been born and brought up, outside of Bengal,
Bengal.
and it's called a Probashi,
Hmm.
right? And for 100 years from either side, we've been out of Bengal, but I didn't know about Swamiji, but the only thing that I read about him was from an Amar Chitra Katha. Sorry. So there was this old lady and her husband, okay, who not really related, but kind of a distant relationship. And they said that, look, we read this first book of yours on HR. So why can't you write a book on Swamiji, detailing out his leadership, and that will be of immense help to everyone. Leadership, his organizational building, role, and so on and so forth. How is built an organization without, having a penny in his pocket. And then they threw in some senti matter also. Said, "No, look, we don't have a long time to live." And this lady was really suffering from cancer. So can you do it? Said, look, I don't know anything. A, B, I don't have the resources. I mean, there's no library, worthwhile library in there. There are I don't have the books. I don't have anything. So they said that, look, we'll send you some books. So uh, this gentleman whom I called Kaku, he sent me 30 odd books. Right?
Hmm.
And
And
I
all
started
were in
reading.
what language? All were in English, or there were some
Uh,
Bengali and
English, there was some, a couple in Bengali, a couple in Bengali, and one in Hindi. And once I started reading, then I went out, then bought quite a few more, quite a few more. So I bought around 200, 250 odd books, And then it's
Again, these 250
that's
books are on Vivekanand.
on Vivekananda, on Ramakrishna Mission, on Vivekananda, and so on.
Okay. Was not aware that,
So
as you said, I think many of us get stuck only at Amar Chitra Katha, and we don't
yeah,
move beyond that. And
no, absolutely, yeah.
so there has been a
That
lot of things which has been written about Swamiji.
correct, correct. Yes, there has been. And when I started writing, believe me, that I started off with the agenda that they had outlined for me. That his role as a leader, his leadership abilities, how he did this and that, and I found myself boxed in, right? That this is not working out. This is a feeling that I've got quite often, and this is the kind of the change that tried to, how shall I put it, the reason for some of my decisions, right?
Okay.
So, it wasn't quite working out because I thought that, look, it's very difficult to look at this person from just the prism of his leadership abilities, or just this position as, the fact that he's built this institution on
Hmm.
his own. Well, there's so many things to him. Okay. What he was as a human being defined what he did as the leader,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And it went much beyond, let's say, either Ramakrishna or, his, the role that he subsequently played as.
Hmm. Hmm.
Therefore, I started delving a lot more into his personal aspect.
Hmm.
And then once I started doing that, I realized that, look, I'll not be able to, you know, I need to be able to think like him a little
Hmm.
if I have to write about him.
Hmm.
So then there was this phase of living like a monk myself,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, um, staying in a room, not really talking to people,
Mhm.
um, you know, days, hours, days, spent in concentration, and contemplation, and so on and so forth. So at the end of it all, what happened was, the book that you read,
Hmm.
uh, and this was brought out by Hay House.
Hmm.
So it this one again took a couple of years
And you named the
to
book
write.
as?
The name was Rendezvous with a Monk.
Monk.
So the third book that I've written, and for which again I'm looking for a good publisher, is again a result of some of the counseling that I've been doing for the school children,
Mm-hmm.
and realize that there's so many gaps, or either gaps or the differences. Let me put it this way: the differences in parenting that we faced,
Hmm.
and the kind of parenting that has been done now.
Mm-hmm.
Second is, the kind of outlook that children have today,
Mm-hmm.
mm, and the differences, with us. Third is the kind of, if you really look at it, most of the children today are very lonely in a sense of the word,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
They may be chatting away with hundreds of, friends, etc., etc., online, but deep down they're very lonely, and that is because they either don't have avenues or modes of, physical interaction with other
Hmm.
children, and don't really get to interact properly with other children.
Hmm.
So this brought about, this took the shape of, this manuscript that I've written,
Hmm.
and this is again a, journey of just 7 days, and how, things can change, and how you either adapt to, circumstances, or do what you will.
Hmm. And the target for this particular book will be with the children or the parents or both, or maybe teachers
No,
also.
no, no. It's not really the children.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, I had initially thought that it's the children, okay, because I did not write. I've not written any of my books with a target audience, specific target audience in mind, barring the first one.
Hmm.
Okay. That too, I was just writing. Okay. Now, going through it, I find that, look, it will be more to, do with the parents, young parents or would-be parents
Hmm.
or teachers
Mhm.
or maybe even counselors,
Mhm.
and anyone who's interested, you know, um, in literature and not scared of reading per
Hmm.
se. I mean, I'm not the kind of the pulpy fiction within
Mhm.
quotes, but
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. So we will all look forward to this book when it's going to be coming out. So I hope you get a
thank you.
publisher, because this kind of uh, practical, easy to understand, and all knowledge put together will be something I think all of us will really love reading it out. Yeah. So we have lots to talk about. We'll take a short break at this point in time, and in the next episode, we'll continue with a discussion with Joanne. Yeah. So keep watching the next episode which we have.